Hello, everyone. We're going to wait for a quick minute before we start the webinar. Welcome to the State of Salesforce Security presentation with AutoRABIT. I'm just going to go through some introductions here. So my name is Veroljub Mihajlovic, and I'm the Senior Director of Product Marketing here. And what we are doing today is we're going to be talking about the state of Salesforce security. If you have any questions, comments, concerns, feel free to put that into the Q&A window. And as part of today's presentation, we'll make sure that we send a copy of the recording and send you an email afterwards with the topics of conversation. And then again, if you are ever interested in having a deeper dive into the materials or talking with a AutoRABIT expert, please feel free to reach out. So we're going to be starting and talking about the state of Salesforce security. And if you're involved with the Salesforce ecosystem, I think your daily news in the feed has been very interesting over the last year or so. Day to day, we're hearing more and more information from very reputable sources that sensitive data is leaking from servers, there's potential hacks, there's data breaches, everything associated with both industries that we are dealing with and potential customers or are some of our competitors. So it is a very difficult time to be in the Salesforce ecosystem and really understand how you should be thinking about security, and does your CISO need to be concerned about Salesforce? And we want to ground everything in terms of Salesforce and helping you understand that Salesforce as a application is a very, very secure application. And we hear them continuously the message of trust. What is Salesforce genuinely responsible for? They are responsible for the security of the cloud. This means that they configure, manage, and secure the applications and are responsible for the cloud infrastructure that we all use. Now, this is the really interesting thing is what are you responsible for? You are responsible for the security of the cloud. As soon as you start making custom configurations, you start doing DevOps processes, developing on top of Salesforce, and you start moving the security posture away from the baseline configuration, you are responsible for the data and the security of the cloud, inside the cloud. And this leads us to a very scary thought, is that in 2025, 99.99% of security failures will be the customer's fault and not the SaaS providers. And it's often useful to start thinking about what this identity fabric is and why is this a potential challenge for you. Within the Salesforce community or the Salesforce ecosystem, developers are continuously changing and maintaining the code associated with Salesforce, as well as changing policies, different security profiles, and they're interacting with Salesforce. So you have these highly privileged users, both admins, who are making changes continuously into the Salesforce code, which affects two things. They might be potentially injecting or inserting code that is unknowingly vulnerable, or there are potential threats associated with the code, as well as they're changing and maintaining all of these different user permissions, profiles, and capabilities around data that is changing the security posture. And where this comes to a head is when you take a look at the identity fabric of who at that edge is going to be potentially affected. We've heard a lot about community cloud and issues associated with the community cloud on how the people have been exposing data unwillingly with PII information. So guest users are accessing the community cloud, and that endpoint leaves you a little bit vulnerable if you don't set up the proper permissions and profile sets associated with the community cloud and those end guest users. End users of Salesforce, right? Being potentially changing the permission sets or the profiles that the folks have, unintentionally giving somebody very highly privileged capabilities allows them to access potentially information with Salesforce that can be exposed you by accident. And then there is a whole set of maybe something that's not well known or discussed is these machine identities. That development lifecycle can also affect things such as APIs, making sure that you have governors around there and the right API securities. Is the API public, or is it a public API? Are you using, what endpoints are you using? Are you using the best practices? Third-party applications and integrations. Are you sharing PII data accidentally or configuring it in a way that aligns to IT standards? There's webhooks, there's service accounts where you're using to run automations. And this starts to become a big sprawl. And this is what is called the Salesforce attack surface. And this is what we should be thinking about when we're talking about security is how do you draw this perimeter? How do you actively manage this attack surface? And how do you continuously move it towards becoming better? And where we go with this is that there needs to be a rethought around the SaaS responsibility model. And CISOs and the like have been trained and thought of since the early 2010s is that SaaS typically takes all the responsibility away from you. Reality is that with the level of capabilities and the really good benefits that Salesforce requires, it needs to change our thoughts on what it is that we're both responsible for. So really thinking about having programs and making sure that you have hygiene related to cyber threat risks, not introducing malicious code, being able to manage human or unintended risks with elevated privileges, making sure that machine identities applications or third parties are actively managed and you have the right policies and posture associated with it. Going into operational risks, making sure that you are de-risking yourself, making sure that there are backups associated with it, making sure that there is a process put in place around Salesforce and making sure that you're adhering to the best practices is key. And then ultimately environmental risks of making sure that your movers, joiners, leavers, being able to access, delete, or modify data or metadata from internal and external tools, you have a program put into place for that. And this leads us to really understanding like what is the current state of affairs. We talk about all these challenges. And now let's talk about why enterprises need to adopt low code security. Salesforce is a key driver of your business and it's at risk. Code quality and code security are mission critical. What is special about Salesforce is the fact that there is sensitive data everywhere and you need to put programs together around how you're managing it. Metadata is a layer of complication that typically does not exist in custom application development and is unique to Salesforce. So there's a lot of metadata requirements that encode security roles, access controls, permissions, and the risk for introducing errors unintentionally is very high across metadata. The poor quality of code creates a hygiene issue by introducing tech debt, slowing down future delivery, and creating additional remediation tasks for compliance and security. So how does this often look like and what is needed for Salesforce? Based off the fact that you can make quite a few changes live in production, it's a huge departure around typical security tools and what a CISO or somebody from an important technology sector that's managing multiple clouds, multiple applications or enterprise applications need to wrap their heads around is that Salesforce is special. There's Salesforce special languages. Apex has the capability of automatic executions. Dependencies are opaque, being able to show the quality of the dependencies or if there are any vulnerabilities. Sharing model for roles and permissions and capabilities and highly privileged users is unique. And you have unmanaged APIs. So often I show this actually to very important technology officers and show them like, hey, you have this code, but this is how you're managing all of your work behind the scenes of linking everything, all these permission sets and profile sets, and this big web of these sets. And this is how you're managing your user access, for example. And they start to understand like, hey, this is a really big challenge for us. And the cost of addressing vulnerabilities early increases about having to fix things in prod versus doing it as part of the process and managing it in an ongoing manner. There are some examples. United Health, there was a big breach recently. I think everyone has heard of that. They just recently paid on top of all the issues that they were having. They actually paid about $30 million in ransomware. Clorox got hit with a major cyber attack. Then they had to write down $49 million over the course of a quarter. The financial damages don't often include specifically related to the hack, but it's all the process and diligence stuff that you have to deal with after the breach, containing the breach, and the reputational hit that you get. Clorox, for example, went down about 30 to 35% in terms of their stock price, having to deal with this issue. Now, here at AutoRABIT, we are in a very privileged position to help our customers understand the state of Salesforce security. We have an upcoming State of Salesforce Security ebook that we're working on. And today, what we wanted to do is share some of the insights that we have the capability of seeing. And if you're interested, please reach out to us and we can start doing a little bit of a deeper dive with you and understanding where you are on your Salesforce journey. And this is a world exclusive here of being able to see this type of information. Based off of our programs, we have the capability of anonymizing our information and really understanding the deep dives in terms of our security capabilities. So we have from our code scan capabilities, just understanding like what does an average Salesforce org look like. And here we're finding that based off of our scans, what we find is that average org and the folks that we're dealing with has about 90,000 lines of code, more than a year's worth of debt, and 1,000 issues that were identified. And being able to baseline yourself to where you are compared to industry average will allow you to move towards more of a secure capability and being able to improve over time. Also, some of the key things that we're finding in terms of the complication in those 90,000, we can tell how much Apex code there is, how much Lightning components are being utilized, number of methods and classes, and we can start getting and unearthing a little bit more behind the scenes of, how many public APIs are being accessed, how many undocumented APIs are there. So there is quite a bit of underlying technology where we can start helping you move your code hygiene in one direction, and two, start revealing some security vulnerabilities that might be very important for you to be aware of in terms of your security posture and managing that attack surface with AutoRABIT. So coming into the code quality, we can take a look at how many duplicate lines of code can we help speed you up, some best practices associated with the capabilities and comments associated with that. So we can help baseline you in terms of how does your org look in comparison to what we have kind of a global purview around. And this leads us to what can you do about your Salesforce security today? And taking these key things, I think it's really about developing DevSecOps as a process and an ideology, as well as having the features, functions, and capabilities. DevSecOps and building security means shifting left. And shifting left means that the developers have to consider and care about security features. And what we say is it's really important to have both a DevOps workflow, be able to establish processes, and then be able to include security as each part of your stage gates before moving into production. So with our capabilities around code scan, you can run these reports and get these numbers, as well as start, once you've established the current baseline, code scan helps you remove tech debt and identify security vulnerabilities without introducing more tech debt and code into your production ecosystem. And then with production, you can run these periodic scans and start creating programs to improve the hygiene of your code quality over time in an automated fashion. And this aligns to the 4 things that we can help you do. Reducing the total number of issues, we can help identify security vulnerabilities that expose data, and then we'll have vulnerabilities that can compromise access controls, improving performance, and ultimately improving your velocity of your development lifecycle by building quality into the process so that you are not introducing more tech debt and are able to focus your time instead of manually doing this on innovation and driving feature adoption. And what are the key things that we can help you with, right? We can increase feature delivery, speed, and productivity. We can detect code bugs and vulnerabilities where you don't have to do it manually. Code reviews will be quickened, and you'll be able to focus in on the right things. We have the best-in-class UI UX that exposes what the issues that are identified, how they tie in into the top 10 known vulnerabilities, or why your developer needs to care and fix this. We are integrated with CI/CD, the AutoRABIT DevSecOps platform, and our ARM capabilities to give you the best of both worlds in terms of being able to manage your CI/CD process, and then integrated with CodeScan to get it in the pipeline in process to meet you where you want to have this type of information. We have more secure code. We work with the most popular IDE plugins. We support all the most current standards. We have quite a bit. We have actually the most legacy rules and capabilities around all of Salesforce languages. We have unique capabilities that we're launching, especially around Encino and MuleSoft, which is very exciting. So please come and talk to us about extending our capabilities there, and ultimately give you the visibility you need at your hands to increase the high-level analysis of code health and being compatible with Salesforce-specific languages, which what I think we find is a challenge with many of the other code scanning capabilities is the fact that it's not tuned to what exactly we need at our fingertips. And again, only CodeScan has complete coverage for Salesforce. And what we're going to do is we're going to do a little bit of a deep dive in terms of the capabilities of how much we're saving in productivity. So we can help do an analysis with you in terms of where developers are spending the time and how we can double the efficacy of developers by not focusing on the hygiene and putting together a program and capabilities for you on where your developers are spending time. And we've had a question come up and folks are saying, hey, I'm looking to see how can I get started and understand my capabilities and where I get this. We have the capability of doing the quick scan today online. Within the CodeScan product, we can do the quick scan and we can report out and generate a report and help you compared to the baseline average of where you are in terms of your capabilities and secure code abilities there. So what we're going to do now is we are going to come to a Q&A session. So if anybody has any questions, comments, or answers, please put it in now. And what we have is we have a couple of questions here. The first question I have is something related to the identity framework. Somebody wants to go back and actually take a look at the identity framework. And let's go see here. So the identity fabric, and they're asking is, do we have Salesforce out-of-the-box controls to be able to manage this? So out of the box, Salesforce comes with GUIs and workflows where you can configure your initial levels of permissions, roles, access, and controls. And the challenge becomes managing this actively. When you have one admin and a simple deployment, it is easier to manage than when you have a big organization and multiple admins, multiple people with high levels of privileges. The challenge that happens and why we have that security risk is due to security drift. So over a period of time, the original known good security configuration changes, and that change is never logged. And you really need a solution like ARM with AutoRABIT, and you need a solution like CodeScan to be able to continuously monitor and manage that attack surface. And many of the intrusions or issues or breaches that we've had were related to issues of hygiene and making sure that you're keeping on top of your permissions, profile sets, making sure you're getting rid of old organizations. You are also making sure that your communities follow the best practices and are taken down after after you are finished with that project or that product, and making sure that it's maintained properly. We have another question. So if you have any questions, I know that there's a raised hand. Please put it into the Q&A, and then I will answer the question live. That'd be perfect. Is CodeScan built in an option AutoRABIT, or is it integration capability? So it's another product that you have the ability to integrate with ARM, which is our automated release management capabilities. The rules are updated. We launch every 2 weeks, so we're on a continuous release cycle. So the rules are refreshed every 2 weeks, and we're doing major innovation related to it. So we are leading on the cybersecurity front for both code scanning vulnerabilities and posture management. I got another question asked here is, can we define custom rules? So we have the capability of defining custom rules within CodeScan, and this CodeScan capability is managed by you, and you can work with our professional services if there is any support or help required there. Integrating with custom code scanning tools, you can actually run that as a pipeline job within ARM if you have any custom code scanning capabilities within your ecosystem. So we're very flexible both in our DevOps capabilities, and then we have the capability of integrating with what you have. And then we have a best of breed code scanning analysis tool that provides you a fantastic workflow. How is CodeScan detecting the flaws in code? So got asked an interesting question. So we have an entire product that does a scan, and then we compare it to a baseline of known vulnerabilities and rules associated with Salesforce specific ecosystem. We have the deepest coverage of capabilities in Salesforce languages. We're extending our capabilities into Encino and MuleSoft day by day. And we have intelligence and ML in terms of detecting false positives associated with flaws in code. So we have quite a bit of capabilities, and we are continuously updating our capabilities to maintain our competitive advantage. All right, and I got a question. If someone would like to get an understanding of where their ecosystem is right now and compare it to some of these metrics we're seeing here, I'm going to go back here. As part of our wrap up today, we're going to send you an email. You'll have a recording of the presentation so you can share with any of your colleagues. If you are interested in doing a quick code scan today, we have a link online where you can do this yourself. Or if you're interested in having a conversation with an AutoRABIT expert to guide you through the process, or if you have CodeScan already installed, please reach out and book a meeting with us, and we'll make sure that we get you aligned and get you the right support you need today, associated with the requiremts and really understanding where your ecosystem is and how do we then take the next steps together. And then we have a really good question is, how safe is CodeScan in safeguarding proprietary code? So we keep no data information. You own the IP and everything associated with the data. So we have no visibility into your code and your custom and your proprietary code associated with your capabilities. And then, our CodeScan capabilities are built with the latest and greatest security capabilities, so authentication, the right SSO capabilities. So you end up owning the entire infrastructure and all the information that gets generated there. So it's within your IT infrastructure, and it doesn't impact your InfoSec requirements associated with Salesforce. All right, perfect. Thank you everyone for attending today's webinar. If you have any questions, comments you'd like to pass along, feel free to send a message to us here. And then again, if you're interested in a quick code scan, so you can go on codescan.io and see a quick code scan and do it yourself. You can book a meeting with us to get a demonstration of the product. And then finally, if you're interested in a guided experience around being able to do a code scan, please reach out to us and book a meeting, and we'll set up a AutoRABIT expert to be able to help guide you on your journey. Thank you very much. I hope everyone has a fantastic rest of the day.